Hey everyone, excited for another deep dive. Today, we're looking at Gift City in India.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this ambitious project, right? They want to make it a global financial hub like a Dubai or Singapore.
Right.
But, with that Indian twist, big question is, can it actually deliver?
Yeah.
We've got a whole stack of articles here. Some are like super optimistic, others not so much.
Yeah, we've got a good mix.
So we're going to unpack it all. Figure out if Gift City is, really your gateway to India's financial boom. Or maybe, just maybe, a little too good to be true. What do you think?
Well, let's start by actually explaining what DIFC City is.
Yeah, good point.
For those who might not know, Gift City stands for Gujarat International Finance Tec-City. It's more than just, a dream. This is a strategically located project in Gujarat, and it has the full backing of the Indian government.
So this isn't just like some small-scale experiment.
Oh, no, not at all. And what's really fascinating is that they're not just trying to copy-paste other financial centers. They're aiming to create a hub that really caters to the specific needs of businesses, investors who want to tap into India's potential.
So it's got its own unique vision.
Exactly.
But let's get practical here. How could someone, listening right now actually get involved in Gift City?
Well, there are four main ways.
Okay, lay it on me.
First, you can set up shop, meaning establish your business within Gift City itself.
Okay, so like,
It could be a financial institution, a fintech startup, really anything.
gotcha.
Then there's the option of funding it. Invest in India-focused funds that are based right there in Gift City.
That's interesting.
It's a way to, ride that growth wave, but without having to directly deal with the complexities of the Indian market.
Smart. So that's two down. What are the other two?
The third way is to jump into trading.
Uh-huh.
Gift City has its own exchanges, you see, so you can access both Indian and global markets, stocks, bonds, derivatives, all of that.
Okay, now that's getting me excited.
And here's a big one. For many investments, you can often bypass the usual Reserve Bank of India approvals.
Wait, really? You mean the RBI?
Yes, the RBI.
That's huge for foreign investors.
Absolutely. Streamlines the whole process.
Yeah, the RBI could be a bit of a bottleneck sometimes.
It can. And then the fourth way is, well, banking on it. Literally.
Okay, I like where this is going.
You can tap into the growing range of international banking and insurance services offered within Gift City.
So it's all about simplifying those cross-border transactions, making it easier for global players to, do business in India.
Precisely.
So whether you're a seasoned investor or a company looking to expand, Gift City seems to have an option.
It does.
But let's talk incentives. The elephant in the room.
Oh, yes.
Our sources paint a pretty rosy picture when it comes to tax breaks and regulations.
Right. Well, the incentives are definitely designed to attract foreign investment.
No doubt.
Companies operating in Gift City get a 10-year tax holiday. No corporate taxes for a decade.
Wow.
You're looking at potentially saving millions of dollars over those 10 years. And then there's zero goods and services tax.
Zero.
Zero. And then even after that holiday period, you get reduced corporate tax rates.
That sounds almost too good to be true.
It's a very attractive package.
But it can't just be about taxes, right? There's got to be more to it.
Of course. One of the big selling points is the free flow of capital. Unlike other parts of India where you might face restrictions on moving your money in and out, Gift City offers liberalized capital movement.
So it's more aligned with, globally integrated financial markets.
Exactly. You can move your capital and profits much more easily.
That's a big draw for investors.
It is, especially those who, value flexibility and don't want to get bogged down by bureaucratic hurdles.
It sounds like they've really studied those established financial hubs, trying to make it as smooth as possible for investors.
They have, but there are also some key differences.
Oh. Like what?
One is the regulatory environment. They've created a framework that's specifically tailored to Gift City. It draws inspiration from global best practices, sure, but they're also taking into account India's unique context.
So it's not just a copy-paste job.
No, it's about finding a balance that works for India.
I see. So how does this unique regulatory approach actually play out?
Well, they've focused on creating a system that's transparent, efficient, and aligned with international standards. The goal is to minimize bureaucracy, reduce compliance burdens, and create a level playing field for everyone.
Domestic and international players.
Exactly. It's all about making it easier to do business, attract investment, and foster growth.
So they're really pulling out all the stops.
They are.
It seems like the government is, all in on this project.
It's a major initiative.
But what's the bigger picture here? Why this massive investment?
It's part of a larger strategy. You see, India wants to elevate its standing on the world stage,
Makes sense.
particularly in finance. By creating a world-class financial hub, they aim to attract more foreign investment, boost economic growth, and become a more influential player in global markets.
Ambitious goals. But you know what they say, With great ambition.
comes great responsibility.
Exactly. So what about the risks, the challenges? Every investment has them, right?
Of course, Gift City is no exception. One thing to remember is that it's still a relatively young project, so there's a degree of uncertainty.
Right, still finding its feet.
The regulations are still evolving, and there's always the possibility of changes down the line.
So it's not a set it and forget it type of investment.
Not at all. Investors need to stay informed, adapt to the evolving landscape.
Are there any other potential pitfalls to be aware of?
Well, compared to those established financial hubs, Gift City's market is still maturing. It's like the new kid on the block, trying to break into a party full of veterans.
Right. So what kinds of challenges come with that? Being a new player on the global scene, I mean.
Well, one of the big ones is building liquidity.
Liquidity. Okay, remind me what that is again.
It's basically how easily you can buy and sell assets without causing, huge price swings.
Oh, right, right.
In a mature market, there are tons of buyers and sellers, so it's easy to find someone to trade with. But in a newer market like Gift City, well, things can be a bit thinner.
I see.
Might be harder to execute trades quickly or at the price you want.
Gotcha. So patience is key.
Exactly. Investors need to have a long-term view, understand that those quick wins might be less likely in a market that's still, finding its footing.
Okay, that makes sense. But are there other challenges besides just like market maturity?
Yeah, there are. One that comes up a lot with emerging markets is currency fluctuation.
Right, the Indian rupee, it's had its ups and downs.
It has. So how could that impact investors in Gift City specifically?
Yeah, what's the real world effect?
Imagine you're a US-based investor, okay? You decide to put, say, $100,000 into a Gift City project.
Okay.
Let's say the exchange rate at the time is 80 Indian rupees to the US dollar.
So your investment is worth 8 million rupees.
Exactly. Now, let's say that project does really well. You get a 10% return in rupees. Sounds great, right?
Yeah, awesome.
But during that same time, the rupee weakens against the dollar.
Uh-oh.
And the exchange rate moves to, let's say, 85 rupees to the dollar.
I'm seeing where this is going.
When you convert your earnings back to dollars, you'll find that your return isn't actually 10%. It's lower because of that unfavorable exchange rate.
So even if the investment performs well in rupees, you can still lose out because of currency swings.
Exactly. It adds a whole extra layer of complexity.
Makes you think twice.
It does, but there are ways to mitigate this risk, of course.
Oh, tell me more.
Investors can use hedging strategies to protect themselves from those fluctuations.
Like what?
For instance, they could use currency derivatives to lock in a specific exchange rate, reduces their exposure to those potential swings in the rupee.
Smart. So while those tax benefits and, relaxed regulations are tempting, there are definitely downsides to consider. But let's shift gears for a minute. You mentioned earlier that Gift City is part of India's ambition to become like a global economic powerhouse.
It is.
How does this project fit into that larger vision?
Gift City is more than just a financial center, really. It's a symbol of India's aspirations.
To compete globally.
Exactly. By creating this, world-class environment for businesses and investors, India is signaling its intent.
They're serious.
They are. They want to attract global capital, foster innovation, and play a bigger role in shaping the future of finance.
It's like saying, hey, world, we're open for business, and we're ready to play in the big leagues.
That's a great way to put it.
But how does Gift City stand out from other aspiring financial hubs? What makes it unique?
Well, one of its key advantages is its access to the Indian market.
Right, huge population.
Over 1.3 billion people. And a growing middle class. That's a huge consumer base. And they're hungry for goods and services. Businesses operating in Gift City can tap into that.
So it's like having a front row seat to one of the most dynamic markets in the world.
Exactly.
But what about the competition? Dubai, Singapore, those established players. How can Gift City realistically compete with those giants?
It's a good question. While those hubs do have a head start, Gift City brings its own strengths to the table. One is its focus on technology and innovation, particularly in fintech.
Right. India's been making waves in that space.
It has. They've got a vibrant startup ecosystem, and the government is really pushing for tech advancements in the financial sector. Gift City is positioned to capitalize on that.
Attract those tech-savvy companies.
And the talent from all over the world.
So it's not just about replicating traditional financial services, it's about embracing the cutting edge.
Right. Fostering a culture of innovation.
It sounds like they're aiming to be like the Silicon Valley of finance, but with an Indian twist.
You could say that.
But are there any specific examples of how this focus on technology is playing out in Gift City? Like what's actually happening on the ground?
Well, one example is regulatory sandboxes.
Sandboxes.
Yeah. It's a way for fintech companies to test out their innovative products and services in a controlled environment.
Before they launch to the wider market.
Exactly. Gift City has been at the forefront of creating these sandboxes, providing a platform for fintech startups to experiment and refine their offerings.
That's a great way to attract those promising ventures.
It is. It's created a real buzz. Global investors are taking notice. They're looking for the next big thing in fintech, and Gift City is right there on their radar.
That's fascinating. They're not just talking about innovation. They're actively creating an environment where it can thrive. But with all this focus on technology and finance, it's easy to forget about the human element.
Right.
You mentioned attracting and retaining top talent. What are they doing to make Gift City a desirable place to, actually live and work?
Well, they're investing a lot in creating a world-class living experience because they realize that attracting talent takes more than just good salaries.
Of course.
They're building modern residential complexes, international schools, state-of-the-art healthcare facilities,
Wow.
and a whole range of entertainment options, trying to create a cosmopolitan atmosphere.
A place where global professionals and their families can feel at home.
Exactly, while pursuing their careers.
It's like building a city within a city, a self-contained ecosystem. Pretty impressive. But let's be realistic. Building a global financial hub from scratch, that's not easy.
It's a huge undertaking.
What are some of the biggest hurdles Gift City needs to overcome to really succeed?
One of the biggest is establishing credibility and trust.
Among international investors.
Right. Gift City is still relatively new. It needs to prove that it can provide a stable, transparent, and predictable environment.
Investors need to feel confident.
Exactly. They need to know that their investments are protected, that the rules are fair and consistently applied.
And that they have options if things go wrong.
Right. It's all about building a reputation. It takes time.
And a proven track record.
Yeah.
So are there any other major challenges that could hinder Gift City's progress? Aside from that trust factor, I mean.
Another key challenge is attracting enough businesses and financial institutions to create a truly thriving ecosystem.
Right, you need that critical mass.
You do. It's a bit of a chicken and egg situation. Businesses are more likely to come if they see other businesses already operating there. And financial institutions will set up shop if they see potential clients.
So overcoming that initial inertia is crucial.
It is. Attracting those early adopters is what will really jumpstart Gift City's growth.
So it's about creating a virtuous cycle. Early successes attract more participants, which leads to even more growth and development. Makes sense. But what about the social and environmental impact, of this whole project?
That's a crucial aspect, absolutely. Any large-scale development project has the potential to impact surrounding communities. And the environment, of course.
Right. So what are we talking about specifically? How is Gift City's development actually affecting people in the region? Give me some concrete examples.
Well, one example is the impact on local communities, their livelihoods. Building Gift City required acquiring land.
Okay.
And that's raised concerns about displacement, the potential disruption of traditional agricultural practices. It's important for the developers and the government to address those concerns, make sure people are fairly compensated.
Right, so that the benefits of development are shared.
Exactly, and that local communities aren't left behind in the process.
But what about the environmental side of things?
That's another big concern, the environmental footprint of such a large urban development project.
Yeah, concrete jungles aren't exactly known for being eco-friendly.
They're not. So what specific environmental challenges are they facing, and how are they addressing them? Water resources are a big one. Gujarat, where Gift City is located, is already a water-stressed region.
Yeah.
So a massive project like this could put even more strain on that limited water supply.
Makes sense.
Now, the developers have taken steps to conserve water. They're using recycled water for things like landscaping, and they've incorporated rainwater harvesting systems into the buildings.
Okay, so they're being mindful of it.
They are, but we'll have to see how effective these measures really are in the long run.
Right. It's one thing to plan for it, but another to see it play out over time.
Exactly.
But let's zoom out for a second. Look at Gift City in the context of India's overall economic strategy. How does it fit into the government's vision for the future?
Well, Gift City is a key piece of India's goal to become a global economic powerhouse.
Right, we've talked about that.
It's part of this larger effort to attract foreign investment, boost exports, create high-skilled jobs. The government's been working on making India a more attractive place for businesses, simplifying regulations, improving infrastructure, investing in education and skills development.
So Gift City is kind of like a flagship project, showing the world that India is serious.
That's a good way to put it. They're saying we're open for business and we're ready to compete.
But with all this talk about economic growth and global ambitions, is there a risk that other things might get overlooked? Like social and environmental concerns.
It's definitely a valid concern. Economic development often comes with trade-offs, and it's important to make sure those trade-offs don't unfairly impact certain groups.
Or lead to, like, irreversible damage to the environment.
Exactly. It's crucial for everyone to work together on this. The government, developers, civil society organizations, they all need to make sure Gift City's development is balanced and sustainable.
Finding that balance between growth, social inclusion, and environmental responsibility. That's the sweet spot.
It is.
Okay, so let's bring it back to our listeners. If you've been following along with us on this deep dive into Gift City, what are the key takeaways? What should people be thinking about as they weigh the potential opportunities and challenges of this project?
If you're looking for exposure to India's growth, Gift City definitely presents a unique opportunity. It's this bold experiment.
Trying to build a world-class financial hub from nothing.
And it is attracting attention from investors worldwide. But it's important to be realistic.
Don't just buy into the hype.
Right. It's still early. There are risks and uncertainties.
So do your research, understand those risks, and maybe talk to a financial advisor who knows about emerging markets.
Good advice. Weigh the potential rewards against the potential downsides. Make sure your investment decisions align with your risk tolerance and your long-term goals.
It's like with any investment, really. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify. Stay informed. Be prepared to adapt as things change.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
But beyond just the financial side of things, it's worth thinking about the bigger picture.
Right. As investors, we have a responsibility to consider the impact our decisions have, not just on our own wallets, but on the world around us.
It's about recognizing that our choices have consequences, and that we can use our investments to support businesses that are doing things the right way.
Absolutely. Think about the social and environmental impact of the projects you're considering. And don't be afraid to speak up.
Engage with companies, with policymakers. Push for responsible development.
It's about using our voices and our wallets to create a better future, one where economic growth goes hand in hand with social justice and environmental stewardship.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you to continue your own exploration of Gift City. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.